Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining. We know that this is sort of the last hour of the day, so we really appreciate that you all coming here for Fabric Data Agent. I'm Amir Jafari. I'm a product manager in Microsoft Fabric, and I'm joined by my colleague.
Hey, everyone. My name is Shreyas, Canchi, Radhakrishna, also a product manager on Data Agent, and I mostly focus on a lot of the some of the creator SQL and KQL experiences.
And together today, we're going to talk a lot about Fabric Data Agents and some of the key new announcements that we have made this week. And we're going to walk you through some of these new announcements. But before we start, I want to ask, how many of you are actually familiar with Data Agent and has used Data Agent? OK, I can see some hands. All right. So for those of you that may not even know much about Microsoft Fabric, so Fabric is basically Microsoft's unified data platform that's powered by AI that brings all of your data and all of your teams in one place as OneLake. And because now all of your data is in one place, in one open data format, governed end-to-end, that allows you to basically leverage and introduce AI to truly understands your business. And that's where basically Fabric Data Agents come into play, right? An agent that is working on all of your data that lives in Fabric OneLake and can provide you, answer questions, provide you insights, and basically leverage AI that can help you transform how you work. So let's actually take a look at what basically Fabric Data Agents are. So Fabric Data Agents are conversational agents that are built using generative AI that helps you get insights over your data that lives in Fabric OneLake. So you can think of them as kind of like a virtual analyst that helps you answer questions and get insights over your data that lives in Fabric OneLake. So Fabric Data Agents basically provide seamless connectivity over any type of data that lives in Fabric OneLake, whether it's a lakehouse, warehouse, Power BI semantic model, KQL databases, or even mirror databases. And so there's an AI creator who would basically try to configure and customize this agent, this conversational agent, provide AI instructions, provide instructions as in any agentic framework, right? To basically allow AI to understand and learn the unique language and nuance of your business. So once basically that AI creator has built this agent, then they would be able to consume it both in Fabric and outside in Fabric. And over the past year, we have basically enabled you to use it across different channels, from Azure AI Foundry to Microsoft Copilot Studio, Teams, and within also Fabric itself. But today, we are also happy to announce 3 key new announcements for Fabric Data Agents. First of all, you would be able to start consuming Fabric Data Agent in Microsoft 365 Copilot. So we are getting closer to become part of the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. Also, you would be able to use Fabric Data Agent as a remote MCP server, starting with VS Code and then extending to all other AI systems. We have heard from many customers, and now we're happy that Fabric Data Agents would also support unstructured data sources through Azure AI Search. And finally, you might have heard a lot from Fabric IQ. So Data Agents now also support Fabric IQ workload through Ontology. And we will walk you through all of these announcements in details in the next 45 minutes. All right. So we mentioned that now Fabric Data Agent has an integration with Microsoft 365 Copilot. So now basically, we are empowering and reaching M365 agents with Fabric data intelligence. So AI creators can enrich M365 Copilot with Fabric Data Agents expertise and allow you that where you're already working in M365 Copilot, doing all of your workflows there, so you would now able to basically tap into your enterprise knowledge that lives in Fabric OneLake through Data Agent. And as always, because security is a top priority for us, all of the security permissions, including RLS and CLS, are all respected. So let's take a look basically how the integration with M365 Copilot actually works. So imagine I'm an analyst. I've built this Fabric Data Agent. It's working. I've validated its performance. So now I'm going to publish it. So I'm going to click on Publish. As you can see, provide a rich description about what this data agent does, and now I'm going to basically publish it to the agent store in Microsoft 365 Copilot. And just to say, it's the entire agent store in Microsoft 365 Copilot, and it would be accessible whether it's in M365 Copilot in Teams, Word, Excel, wherever in M365 Copilot. So now once it's published, which is going to take a few seconds, it will start basically showing up in the agent store in Microsoft 365 Copilot. So now, once published, I'm going to actually navigate to the agent store. So you can now see that the agent, which is called like Customer Agent Insights, actually shows up here in my agent store. So if I'm already working in M365 Copilot, now I can basically start interacting with my Fabric data agent. So for instance, I'm going to start asking a question. Like I might ask like, show me which customers have the highest engagement, right? So I'm going to leverage my data that lives in Fabric OneLake. I want to get some insights. And as you can see, through Model Context Protocol integration, I can get insightful answers about my data that lives in Fabric. But thankful to basically the capabilities of M365 Copilot, you would also be able to get visualization now. So if you want to get like a nice chart over like your answers, I'm going to ask, for example, like show me a chart on top of my data. And you can see that now I can actually get a visualization, right? So the visualization is currently only supported in M365, but we're also working to also enable native visualization in Fabric, which we'll talk to later as part of our roadmap. I can also ask follow-up questions. It will also understand the context of my chat. It will understand all of it and always provide answers. It can also get me like nice tables and all of that. So you can see that one. But that's not limited, right? So right now I can use it, but I want to basically enable my colleagues. Like I'm working as part of the team. I want to also enable and empower my colleagues. So I'm going to basically click on here. I can see that there's an option to share, right? So I can basically share this Fabric data agent in M365 in a group chat, in a one-on-one chat, in a channel, and also allow others now to also use Fabric data agent. Obviously, soon we are also working to also, if you want to publish it to your entire organization, that's also something that is coming later. But as I mentioned, it's not only limited to teams. Here I'm in Excel, I open like Copilot, and I'm going to basically see the agents that I have access to, right? So I can see that, for example, Customer Insights agent that I have built in Fabric, it also is here. So I'm going to basically click on here. Now I'm going to ask a question. For example, show me a chart of top revenue generating customers. And I can see again, I get the answer, a nice visualization, a chart, and I can also now, once I get the answer, basically I can export it to my Excel sheet. So if I'm already working in Excel, get the insights and all of that, now I can actually add it to my Excel sheet. So we are trying to streamline your whole workflow and make it much easier for you to tap into your enterprise knowledge that lives in Fabric OneLake through like M365 ecosystem. So this is about like our first announcement that like enabling you to use Fabric data agent in Microsoft 365 Copilot. Coming soon, we know that researcher agent in M365 Copilot is very popular. Many customers are using it, and researcher is basically allows you to deliver very clear evidence-based and very insightful reports. And the way researcher works is basically start to provide these reports from across different resources. And through integration between Fabric data agent and researcher agent, the researcher agent now would be also able to tap into, again, your Fabric OneLake and provide evidence-based and very thorough analysis over your data that lives in Fabric. This is something that we are currently working and would be coming soon. So we mentioned about the M365 Copilot researcher. Another announcement that we have made is that data agent would be an MCP server. Basically, now data agent can be consumed as a remote MCP server, starting in VS Code, and then we are trying to expand it to other AI systems, including Claude, etc. It is basically a remote MCP server for first-class access to your enterprise knowledge that lives in Fabric. So you can basically, if wherever your workflow is, if you're working in VS Code, that's where you're building your AI system, and you want to tap into Fabric, that's where you will be able to use, for example, Fabric data agent as an MCP server to get insights on top of your enterprise data on demand. And as I mentioned, all of the security permissions are always respected. So now let's actually take a look how it works as a data agent at MCP server. So I have, again, built this data agent, customer insights agent. It's working as expected. I published it. So as you can see, now I can, so I can actually go to the settings of the data agent, and you can see there is a model context protocol where you can basically find the information about your MCP server, including the name, the MCP server URL, the name of the tool, and also the tool description. At the moment, Fabric Data Agent would be one MCP server with one tool. So now that I have basically enabled that one, I'm going to navigate to VS Code. You can see here an MCP JSON file, which includes the authentication and all of the config information for data agent as an MCP server. So I'm in VS Code. I want to build my own AI system, or I want to build my own AI application, but I want to leverage Fabric, right? So you want to stay in your workflow. You don't want to switch back and forth between different tools and platforms. So here, I'm going to select the agent mode, and I have the capability to select which orchestrator I want, whether it's like Anthropic or ChatGPT, or sorry, OpenAI. I'm going to select and ask a question. So now again, through integration between as an MCP server, you can see that if I want to tap into Fabric and I can get the insights. But that's not limited to that one, right? I can, for example, ask more questions. I can ask, for example, to even kind of show me some sort of a chart. And you can see that it will basically generate me a nice, for example, ASCII chart here. And it will also generate me, for example, a CSV file with all of the results. So it enables me to do all sort of analysis that I want while I'm in VS Code without necessarily needing to switch between, like, for example, Fabric and VS Code. I'm all in my workplace. So you can see that I can get a nice ASCII chart and all of that. And it will also generate me, for example, a README file that I can do more analysis if I want. Now, for example, I want to ask that, hey, for example, create me a CSV file with a list of the customers that I'm seeing their engagement and their sales are declining. So you can see that all of that happens right in VS Code, very smoothly, seamlessly, without doing much. So you can see that it has started like tapping again into Fabric, invoking Fabric Data Agent, get the information. You can see that already the CSV file is generated. And I can see that on the left side, the CSV file is there. So I can actually go review the CSV file. If I want to do additional analysis on the CSV file, it's all possible. Now, as a last step, as I mentioned, for example, I want to build my own AI system. I'm going to try how it works. I want to say like, hey, basically, for example, for those customers that I'm seeing their engagement is declining, send an email and see what happens. So you can see that it's all happening in VS Code. It even decides which tools, external tools it has to invoke to actually facilitate my workflow. So it all happens here. And in a few seconds, you would be able to see, yeah, so you can ask me that, okay, I want to run, for example, this script, I want to open a bash script and all of that. And then it would even do a dry run for me. It would draft, for example, a draft email that shows me how it works. And then, like, if I want to actually follow, then I can actually move forward and see. And if you look at on the left side in the terminal, you can see the sort of the a snippet of the basically email that it has kind of prepared for me. So all of that happens in VS Code, get the knowledge from Fabric Data Agent without needing to switch tools. So this is also another announcement that we have made, that Fabric Data Agent will be an MCP server. But it's not only about Data Agent being an MCP server. Starting in private preview, we want to also enable you to bring your internal and external tools to Fabric Data Agent. What does that mean? So, so far Data Agent has been able to basically sort of a query engine. It would be able to tap into different data sources, lakehouse, warehouse, whatsoever, to get insights. But maybe you want to do more. You want also Data Agent to kind of take some sort of actions for you. Or you have defined some business logic that you want to define. You want the Fabric Data Agent to leverage that one. As a first stop, starting in private preview, you can also see a link there. If you want, you can actually sign up for the private preview, which is starting in the next few weeks. We are starting with Fabric user-defined functions, Fabric UDF, where you would be able to define your own business logic, write a Fabric UDF, and then add that as a tool to your Fabric Data Agent. So then Fabric Data Agent will be able to leverage and utilize the UDF to even do more. But also let's take a look how it actually works in practice. The same data agent that I have done, and I'm doing a lot with this data agent, I'll take it to Copilot Studio, sorry, take it to M365, MCP server, now I'm gonna add some tools. So I've built this data agent, I'm asking some questions. So far I've only added these data sources. It's about like customer behavior and all of that. So now I basically want to, so I'm gonna start asking some question, which for example is like show me the number of customers in each loyalty tier. So you can see that now Fabric Data Agent will use the data sources that I've already connected to get the answers. And I can get the answer. I can see that Fabric Data Agent is working as expected. So I can see that it provides me platinum, gold, and silver. By the way, you can see that now. We have always heard that Fabric Data Agent only returns up to 25 rows. For those of you who have been working, we're also improving that, so you would be able to see more than 25 rows. That's also a new experience that's coming soon. But now I'm going to ask a follow-up question. What is the average purchase, for example, amount per customer in each loyalty? So you can see that now I can basically query all these data sources and get an answer. But what I want to do more, right? I want to see, for example, I want to offer some sort of a discount or promotion to customers. So basically now that's where I want to add a tool, right? So I have defined a Fabric UDF where I have defined, like, based on the customer loyalty program, based on their spending, what sort of promotion or discount should apply. So you can see that now I'm going to, for example, add tools. Either start, as I mentioned, with Fabric user-defined function, but we are also looking at other type of tools. I've defined function pricing and promotions. So I'm going to basically connect to that one. And as you can see, there is basically one tool in this UDF, which basically defines how you apply discount and promotion to the customers, right? So now I'm going to basically select this one. And now if I'm asking a follow-up question, which is like, okay, for different customers based on their loyalty programs and different their spending, tell me what would be the, for example, discount and promotion. So Fabric now would actually invoke this UDF, the Fabric functions that I have defined, and would be able to actually provide me a nice result that, okay, based on different tiers and different purchase amount, this would be the discounts that they would receive. So you can see that Fabric is now not moving, but extending its capabilities beyond just querying, but also understanding your business logic and more. But now I also want to take it even further. For instance, I want to send an email to the customers and inform them about these promotions. So again, I'm going to add a UDF, which is like email service, and it's going to show up under the tools here. And then I'm going to select the send notification, which I have written this function, which will be able to send notification to customers. As you can see, so as I mentioned, we are extending the capabilities of Fabric. So now I'm going to ask it that, hey, send an email to the marketing team to inform customers about these upcoming promotions and discounts, right? And as you can see now, Fabric would, again, invoke this email service UDF and would send an email to customers. As I mentioned, starting in private preview, we have a link if you're interested. Feel free to join up, and we are still recruiting customers for the private preview. So far, we have talked about all of that. I want to also quickly touch base that basically building a data agent is an iterative process, right? You do a lot of work. You build a data agent, you ask a question, and then realize that maybe the answer is not the satisfactory level that you want. So you're going to update the configuration, maybe add more instructions, you may add more example queries. It's an iterative process until you reach the desired performance that you want. So you're going to evaluate. And back in September, we also announced that Fabric Data Agent supports ALM and CI/CD. So we have a Git integration, which means that now you can easily track all of the changes that you have made. So if you make some changes to instructions or like data sources or like table selection, etc., all of those are going to be tracked as part of the Git integration. So you can easily track all of the changes. So you can see how all of those changes are impacting the performance of your data agent. And it also follows the ALM. So you can have the separate workspaces, which could be like a dev workspace where you basically develop, you can test it, and then put it into production. So you can separate all of these to make sure that while you're developing, if you have a data agent in production, it doesn't necessarily impact your end users and consumers. And lastly, as I mentioned, Fabric Data Agent, in any agenting framework, evaluation is key. It's a critical part to make sure that your data agent is working as expected. So we have a Fabric Data Agent SDK that enables you to basically run a structured evaluation using Python from the Fabric notebooks. So through that one, you can basically make changes to instructions, tune the prompts and all of that to make sure that you can validate the accuracy, the quality of the responses and all that. Yeah, the Fabric Data Agent SDK is also publicly available. It's on the GitHub repo, so you can also access that one. So we have covered some of the key announcements, some of the consumption scenarios. With that, I'm going to hand over to my colleague Shreyas to walk us through some of the creator side of the data agent.
Sweet. Thanks for that, Amir. So Amir covered some really, really awesome experiences from where you could actually consume data agents, using it as an MCP server, using it as an MCP client, right? But there's a lot of setup that sometimes we have to go through before it gets to that point where it's super usable and super powerful. And that's kind of where the creator experience comes in. And just with a quick show of hands, how many of you guys have actually built a data agent and actually set your agent instructions, your data source instructions and queries? So slightly fewer of you than those that have used data agents before. So that's expected. So a majority of the users tend to be a consumer, but a lot of the times what most people really care about is how do I get the data agent to that point that a consumer can use it? And that's kind of what I'm going to cover a little bit here today, right? So for a creator experience, we start off with something very basic. You create the data agent. So with all the promises that we have in Fabric, data agent adopts all of those. So you could track your lineage, manage permissions. You could share the data agent with your colleagues to bring in more creators. Next up, you would start off by adding your data sources. So this would be, what are the data points do I want in my data agent? What do I want data agent to reason over? And now, brand new, you'll soon be able to add tools, right? So this is the private preview that Amir is talking about, and hang tight about that because we have some QR codes which you could scan to sign up for some of these private previews. So now you can actually add tools to data agent on top of like the data sources as well. So which means the capabilities of data agent just keeps blowing up and expanding, and the power of data agent keeps increasing, right? And finally, like you would set up some configurations. This is like your typical cookie cutter agent instructions, data source instructions, to basically make sure that the data agent has the best result possible. And this is kind of where we have like a couple of new experiences that we're going to talk a little bit about. And finally, you will be able to, once you publish the data agent, it is consumable to all of these downstream resources. So you've seen Amir kind of walk you through this publish experience where once you publish the data agent, you could enable M365 to use it. And then that's basically what the creator experience looks like. And we have a couple of new capabilities coming in for this creator experience. So very recently, we added support for SQL databases. So once you've actually created the SQL database artifact in Fabric, you can now directly consume them in Data Agent. So similar to your lake houses, your warehouses, we can now add your SQL databases to Data Agent as well. So this will basically allow you to leverage our built-in NL to SQL capabilities over your database, as well as all the additional workflows that we allow you to do as well. So including like integrations with M365 downstream, and all of the agent instructions that you would provide to actually reason over the results that you actually get. And next up, one of the major announcements that we have actually made here is the ability to bring your own unstructured data. So this is finally hitting public preview through AI search. So now we have a brand new capability where you could actually bring your established AI search indexes directly to Data Agent. What this means is that now Data Agent can actually reason over some of your unstructured data. So we're talking about text files, your PDF files. And on top of that, Data Agent also has the ability to really tell you exactly where it got some of the responses from. So it'll point you to, oh yeah, like this is the location where we found this information. So it just gives you more insight into exactly what kind of steps Data Agent takes to actually reason over your data, right? And enough of me talking about AI search. Let's take a look at a demo. So we have a pre-recorded demo here where we're actually going to show you what it takes to go from having an AI search index all the way down to actually getting responses from data agents. So I'll take a little bit of break, stop talking, and let's go over to demo.
I'm an analyst at 𝗦𝗲𝗀, and I'm building a data agent to help our product team prepare for customer meetings. To get a full picture of each customer, I need the agent to understand not just usage data, also unstructured feedback that we collect. I've indexed all of our customer stories, interviews, and qualitative feedback in a custom AI search index through Microsoft Foundry. For example, when I search for AutoML, the index retrieves real customer feedback about that feature. Now, by connecting this index to the data agent, I can combine usage metrics with narrative context, giving the product team a clear data-backed view before every customer meeting. Now I'm going to bring this into a data agent. I'll create a new agent and connect my lakehouse, which contains usage trends and support tickets. That gives the agent all of our structured metrics. Next, I'll add the Azure AI Search Index that we just explored. This index holds our customer stories and interview feedback. With both sources connected, the agent can combine quantitative usage data with qualitative insights and answer much richer customer questions. To help the agent choose the right data source, I'm going to add some agent-level instructions. This is where I define the agent's overall objective and explain which sources it should use for different types of questions. For example, when the question is about usage metrics, spend, churn, or activity trends, the agent should query the 𝗦𝗲𝗀 usage lakehouse. When the question involves qualitative feedback, customer stories, or interview insights, it should use the customer stories index. I can also tell the agent how to combine these signals, using structured data for the what and the index for the why. These instructions help produce consistent, accurate, and well-sourced answers. Now, let's ask the agent a question. I want to find the customers with the highest number of support tickets. Based on the instructions I provided and the context about my data sources, the agent knows it should use the lakehouse to answer this. The agent takes my natural language question and automatically translates it into the appropriate SQL query, returning only the top 10 customers by ticket volume. From here, I can inspect the underlying reasoning steps and see the exact query that the agent had generated, giving me full transparency into how the agent reached its final answer. To better understand the first customer's feedback, I'll ask the agent a follow-up question to summarize what this customer had said about our products. Based on the instructions I set earlier, the agent knows to use the customer stories index for this kind of qualitative insight. It searches the index, pulls in the relevant interviews and story notes for the customer, and returns a clear summary of their feedback, what they like, what they struggle with, and the key themes across their conversations. Last, I can use the run steps, or simply ask a follow-up question to see exactly which sources and documents the agent used to answer this question. This gives me full transparency into how it reached its conclusion and which pieces of customer feedback were retrieved from the index.
Sweet. That was like a quick demo about how to actually bring your AI search indexes into Fabric data agents and actually use our agent to actually reason over all of your PDF and text files. So really powerful stuff. And one of the things with a data agent, we care a lot about transparency. We want to make sure that whenever we have any new features added, it's pretty clear what the agent is doing and why the agent came up with certain responses. So you could kind of see how we did this with AI search, where you could actually view the run steps, kind of see which point in the document the answers actually lived, right? So next up, another new data source here. So with all the announcements of IQ at Ignite, I'm sure that you've heard a lot about it. Data Agent also now is expanding its support to support a lot of the Fabric IQ data sources. So we're starting out with Ontology, right? So with a Fabric Ontology, you could actually start by bringing in all of your data and basically build like a semantic graph and entity relationships and define all of this as part of the ontology. And now Data Agent can actually use all of that context to actually generate powerful queries through graph that would actually give you that would actually answer like very complex questions about like relationships and whatnot. So without just, instead of just talking about it, let's kind of walk through how this actually works, right? So we're gonna kind of step into the toes of someone that works at a company called—
I work in Java, and I'm looking into analyzing
Let's start
market.
that out. Cool. Alrighty. So here, let's start from the top. We'll start off, we'll step in the shoes of someone that works at Java, right? And what we're trying to do is get a couple of market insights to figure out where the best place would be to actually expand our business. So what we went ahead and did here is that we created an ontology. We added a bunch of different types of entities that we actually pulled from so many different data sources. So everything from KQL databases to lakehouses, warehouses, and whatnot. And using all of these entities, we actually started constructing relationships. So specifically for market insights, I care about a few different pieces. Like for example, there's a couple that I'm gonna walk you through here, like shipments. Where are the shipments being sent? What demand signals do I actually have for my market insights? And a couple more here, like orders, and then there's also any price overrides, so changes in prices. Altogether, more information about markets and locations where we can potentially expand and where it actually makes sense to expand. And I can now reason through all of this directly from Data Agent. And just like any other data source, so we recently added support to this, so just like any other data source, you would just click on Add Data Source, look for the ontology that you have created, and click Add. And in a few seconds, you'll see that a data agent actually loads all the entities that we have created, so you kind of have a view of everything that's available to the agent. And one important factor that I want to call out here is that unlike other data sources like your SQL tables, you don't need to select any of these entities. By default, Data Agent will actually use all of these as context to actually generate a lot of these insights. So let's try asking a question about markets and demand signals. So this is an example of a question that would actually use that relationship that we created with demand signals and markets to come up with a response to figure out which locations have the highest demand signals, which is kind of an indication of where I actually want to expand my business. So after a little bit of thinking, Data Agent will come up with the response. And here you could see that in natural language, you get a result of that basically says Boston, San Francisco, and Miami are likely the best places to expand and build out my new locations. And just like any other data source, you could go further into the run steps to figure out exactly what steps we took to come up with the answer. And here you could see that we ran a graph query. And this is the query that we ran with Ontology to figure out, yeah, these are the areas that we would most likely expand based on these demand signals. So what we did here was we basically used the power of an ontology where we have developed relationships already and preset them as part of the knowledge graph that we created. And Data Agent is able to now consume all of these contexts directly from the ontology without us needing to input any further data source instructions, for example. So pretty powerful stuff. So this is an integration that is relatively new, and we're constantly trying to see how some of y'all will end up using it, and we'd love to hear more feedback about how this is working for you and what improvements that we can make. But we're really excited for this one. And next up, so let's kind of cover a little bit about some of the creator tooling improvements that we have added over time. So very recently, we have actually, we've listened to all of you guys, and we know that it's been a struggle with the context windows that we have provided for queries, especially SQL and KQL example queries. In the past, we only let you put maybe like 1,000 characters, and many customers mentioned that, hey, like, this doesn't let me put complex queries as an input to the data agent. So we hear you, so now we're expanding this a little bit. So we have recently released an expansion of the context window, so you could actually have slightly more complex KQL and complex SQL as an input to data agent. And additionally, you could also add more instructions directly as data source instructions. So this way, you could actually increase the amount of context that you could provide data agent, which will actually give you more contextual responses and more meaningful replies. And some of the stuff that you've actually seen through the AI search demo. So this is stuff that we have announced not too long ago, but still pretty exciting stuff. The multitasking experience where we have the entire tab view for you to actually go ahead and set up the data agent. We now have introduced an entire Markdown editor instead of a plain text box. So this way, it'll be much easier for our human eyes to figure out like what kind of instructions we're actually setting up, like what the titles are. And because it's easier for us, it's actually also easier for the AI to understand because our LLMs tend to understand Markdown quite well. And one additional tool that I think would be very helpful to many of you is our new diagnostics tool. So now when you get the result, you can actually download an entire diagnostics file that basically highlights all the steps that the data agent took to come up with the response. So instead of filing your ticket with just screenshots and like random IDs that you see on the page, you could actually just add the diagnostics file. So one of the things that we're really hoping that this would do is help us improve like the investigation process. So if you guys are running into issues, attach that diagnostics file and send it to us. It's one really easy way for us to look into what actually happened and an easy way for you guys to share all the context that we need to really go deep and investigate what the issues you ran into are. But yeah, so more or less that kind of covers a lot of the data agent announcements and improvements that we have made. We're going to touch a little bit on the roadmap pretty soon, but before we get into that, one of the things that I want to talk a little bit about is actually getting your data ready for AI. So this is even before you actually add that data source to data agent. So how many of you guys here are familiar with AI functions? With a show of hands. Okay, not that many of you. But AI functions are an extremely powerful tool that we've brought to Fabric. And this is basically through a notebook experience. You could actually do very seamless data enrichments using AI functions. The whole idea behind this is that they're super user-friendly, low code. The idea is you have one line that could perform like very complex tasks, like for example, classification, translation. And it's actually such a powerful way to actually enrich your data before you proceed to feed it into a data agent to actually reason over it. And one of the major announcements that we actually we want to make here is that they are now generally available. So the first few AI functions that we introduced, including analyze sentiment, classify data, extract information, answer custom prompts, all of these are generally available today. So please go ahead, try them out, and give them a shot. They are very powerful tools to actually enhance your entire workflows, and all of them directly through a Python package. And one of the things that we are also going to be introducing is to take a step away from just very basic tabular AI functions. We want to introduce a multimodal AI functions. And this enrichment basically allows you to bring in PDF files, bring in CSV files, text files, and basically non-structured files, and actually run AI functions over it. So imagine like running translations over like a PDF file. So we're starting a private preview for this, and I'm going to keep this screen up for maybe like 10 additional seconds. So if any of you guys are interested in hopping on and trying out the private preview, please use your phones, fill out the form that we've provided, and we will reach out to you to give this a shot. Cool. Sweet. So I don't see many more phones up, so I'm going to move on. But please do come talk to us if you want to be included in the private preview. We'd love to have more feedback and as much feedback as we can get. Next up, more private previews are coming for Data Agent. So there's one that we are going to start very, very soon, like literally within next week. And this is the one that Amir talked about for user-defined functions in Fabric. So this is a great way to gain exposure to the additional MCP tools that you can actually add. So if this is something that interests you and this is something you want to get your hands on and try, we are looking for people that would actually be able to help us out with getting a little bit more feedback for this workflow. So please do scan the QR code on the left-hand side, and basically fill out the form, and we'll reach out to you shortly. And second, we are working on features left and right. There are a lot of new stuff coming out for Data Agent. And we'll touch on that in the next slide, where we'll go over the roadmap. But some of these features we also need your input and thoughts on. And some of these are really brand new capabilities that would actually help expand your ability to set up a data agent and allow data agents to even go deeper into reasoning over your data. And some of these private previews would really unlock new heights for data agent. And that's something that we want to give everyone an opportunity to sign up for as well. So if you guys are interested in any upcoming private previews, please do scan the QR code and fill out that interest form. I'll bring the screen back up at the end so you guys have the opportunity to take a look at it right before, because we're just about to close out. So for this private preview, right, like here are some of the items that are coming out within our roadmap. So general availability. We are working very hard towards bringing data agent to general availability, and that is going to be coming up very, very soon. So hopefully, hopefully you guys are just as excited as we are. But once this is generally available, there's so many additional things that are going to be coming out with data agents in the future. But you can now use data agent at like your production scale, right? Next up, table and column descriptions. So we understand that sometimes it could be a little tedious to go in and copy all of your context directly into data source instructions. But soon enough, we want to be able to use your source of truth within the data source itself and actually bring all of that instructions and information into data agent to make it a nice, smooth, and seamless process. Visualizations are going to be coming up very, very soon as well. So now, instead of data agents just responding with tabular responses, you'll actually see visuals in Fabric. And what Amir did touch on, MCP tools. There are going to be more tools coming, and we want to be able to reach out to you guys to get more feedback on what kind of tools you want to see, or if you guys want to come up with like very specific and custom tools, let us know. And yeah, and so on, and many, and so much more. So I am running a little bit low on time here, but we would like to take a little bit of questions if you're down.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep these private preview slides up. So if you guys have not had the opportunity, please do scan them and sign up for some of our private previews. But we have 2 mics in the room right down the middle of the aisle. So if there are any questions about data agents, AI functions, general availability features that are coming out, please come up to the mic. Sweet.
So if you don't have a semantic model, can you still build the ontology for unstructured data?
The question was, if we don't have a semantic model, can we still use an ontology for unstructured data? So as of today, my understanding is that ontology mostly supports structured data. So, and I believe semantic model is the same. But one thing that you could always still do is you could bring unstructured data into data agent and also add a semantic model and also add an ontology. We do support multiple data sources. So through data agent, you could still reason across all of these data sources. So, so the answer is yes, but not directly through ontology, but you could do it in data agent.
Is the example company 𝗲𝗲? Do you have the code and all the examples posted somewhere?
Not yet. There are some requirements that we need to go through before we could actually make these types of data publicly available. But
we're working on it.
We are working on it.
So what you are referring to as data agents seemed more like a data agent studio where you're building those agents, isn't it? It's not one particular agent, but you can build many more agents in that. It's kind of a Copilot studio, isn't it?
It's not I mean, your data lives in Fabric OneLake, right? So, and like depending on your business, you could build data agent is you can see it in a virtual analyst which is expert on a specific domain or topic, right? So you could build many different data agents that are like expert on, for example, sales, on like, for example, revenue and all of that. So it's not one single data agent. It's you as a creator of a data agent can build as many data agents who are experts on different topics or different domains of your data that lives in Fabric OneLake.
Yeah, and what you, I saw Fabric also as a consumer of data agent.
Yeah. So if you build a data agent, you would also be able to share it with others and others could actually directly consume it in Fabric, right? But then our goal is to make data agent available wherever people want. If you want to build a multi-agent scenario in Copilot Studio, that's available. If your main consumption channel is M365 Copilot, we make it available. Yeah. We make it available wherever you want to. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Sorry, if I have my unstructured data already in the database in chunks and embeddings, would data agents be able to reason over that?
If you have, are you talking about, like, let's say you have an SQL database that already has your embeddings? That's a good question. I don't think that exists today for us to do, but that's something that we could talk a little bit more about. So if you want to come talk to us after, let us know. Gotcha. So I think right now the main one that we support is Azure AI Search, or we allow you to also build embeddings directly into your lakehouses. But let's talk more about your use cases, and we could figure out like
what's the best way.
Yeah. Cool. We are at time, so thank you everyone for joining us today. I know that it was the very last session. Thanks so much for spending your last hour of Ignite with us, or maybe some folks have
last hour of day. So some of you still have another day to enjoy Ignite. But thank you very much.